There's infinite knowledge to be gained just by browsing the World Wide Web, but plenty of stones will inevitably be left unturned in the process. That's why I've rounded up some more mind-blowing must-see internet tidbits for your viewing pleasure. So buckle up and prepare to be amazed. Most people have heard of Japanese cat cafes by now, but what about a fish cafe? At Cafe Ekin in Vietnam, visitors must leave their shoes at the door, and not just as a sign of respect. The owner, Nguyen Doc Hao, decided to do something drastic when renovating the dining area by flooding it with 20 centimeters of water and populating it with some 200 large ornamental carps and a few hundred smaller fish. The water is constantly regulated and filtered, and customers can now expect to enjoy a beverage or a light snack while the fish swim around their feet. Sound relaxing to you? On first glance, this might seem like any old rock, but it would take an archaeologically trained eye to realize that one clean break will reveal something far more jaw-dropping. This gorgeous shiny black surface is a naturally occurring glass known as obsidian rock, which is formed by the rapid cooling of volcanic lava. Obsidian is sharper than surgical steel and was even used by ancient Central Americans for cutlery and weaponry. Although slightly harder than window glass, obsidian is also prone to shattering and can cause blindness, so handle with care. This absolute moonit is known as Knickers the Holstein Friesian, one of the largest breeds of dairy cow. He measures in at a whopping 6 foot 4 inches tall and weighs 1.5 tons, a little more than a Toyota Corolla. Part of the reason he's so large is because he reached adulthood, rather than being slaughtered at around 4 years old as most Holstein Friesian steers are. This beastly bovine was even spared from death after he couldn't fit into the processing machines. Knickers was eventually bought by Australian farmer Jeff Pearson for $400 to coach other cattle on the farm how to behave properly. Now that's one bovine you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of. Videos of objects being violently crushed under the immense power of a hydraulic press are the latest in a trend of oddly satisfying internet clips. But I'll bet you've never seen this before. Compressing or upsetting hot metal to widen its core is a fairly common practice in blacksmithing, but boy does it look cool to a pair of fresh eyes. The reason why the molten metal appears to be glitching like something from a video game comes down to simple science. When the hydraulic press first strikes, the force shatters a thin, flaky surface of metal which exposes a fresh layer beneath. The sparking effect you see is the new iron oxide reacting to the air by immediately oxidizing. Anyone else think it looks exactly how pins and needles feel? The ocean takes up around 71% of the Earth, but some would say we know less about life below sea level than we do about space itself. There are plenty of weird and wonderful creatures lurking in the ocean's darkest depths, and the Dumbo octopus has got to be one of the cutest. These Pokemon-like aquatic animals are observed very rarely in depths of up to 13,000 feet, and are thought to eat small crustaceans and worms. 18 different species fall under the same umbrella name, and each one looks like Disney's Dumbo grew 4 extra legs and learned how to swim. Speaking of underwater action, have you ever seen a sea anemone move before? The anemone in this hilarious clip decides to suddenly uproot itself and run for the hills when it notices a predatory starfish getting dangerously close. Because of their bizarre appearance, it's easy to forget that anemone are actually invertebrate animals, not just decorative plants. Most move so slowly that it's almost impossible to notice, but some are capable of taking off in a flash when they feel threatened. Imagine coming across this waterfall of blazing hellfire while out on a Sunday afternoon stroll. Believe it or not, this phenomenon can be found in California's Yosemite National Park, and it's not actually fire pouring from the rock face. Sorry to disappoint. This waterfall is known as Horsetail Fall, and around the second week of February each year the setting sun hits the water at just the right angle to illuminate it in bright orange. The event, known as Firefall, attracts dozens of budding photographers each year, so you'll have to arrive pretty early if you want a decent view of the action. Art takes many different forms, and some people are so creative with their craft that you can hardly imagine how they do it. Check out these glass loaves by California-based artist Lauren Stump. who specializes in a form of glasswork called murini. Colorful glass rods are melted together in a predetermined formation to create a single loaf, which is then sliced to reveal an elaborate artwork inside. Stump's most complex piece is a detailed interpretation of Leonardo da Vinci's Virgin of the Rocks. Now that's one forbidden slice of cake. This uber-satisfying clay art is the work of talented potter Dean McRain, who specializes in psychedelic rainbow pottery. It takes dozens of layers of brightly colored ceramic clay to produce each piece, and every block is stacked so that delicate slices can be peeled back to reveal the crazy patterns beneath. It's kinda like the method behind certain traditional hard candies like rock, but not as edible. The intricate process can take up to 2 months per block, but each piece can be fired straight away because they certainly don't need any further decoration. Seeing something like this is enough to make you think you may have fallen down a rabbit hole into a world where stone suddenly takes on a malleable form. These are actually incredible sculptures created by the artist Jose Manuel Castro Lopez, who manipulates stone to his will, from tiny pebbles to giant boulders. Of course, Lopez doesn't have any superpowers, but he does have incredible patience, because each of these seemingly effortless sculptures are created by hours of painstaking filing and sanding work. Manuel Cortez isn't the only one to dabble in a bit of stone manipulation. Check out these incredible installations created by self-taught French sculptor Romain Langlois, which make it seem like these boulders are being pulled apart to reveal molten gold inside. Langlois uses stretched bronze to create these distinctive bisected boulders which attempt to deconstruct nature and unleash the inner energy flowing inside. It's almost enough to make you want to break one open and check for yourself. Tired of dropping your smartphone and having to fork out for a whole new screen? One super smart German engineering student might just have a solution for you. Philip Frunzel designed this mobile airbag in 2018 with accident-prone Butterfingers in mind. The case scan senses when your phone is in freefall, instantly deploying mechanical prongs which will ensure it never touches the floor, no matter which side up it falls. It could definitely solve a few problems, but if those legs activate in your pocket during vigorous movements, it could be a whole different story. You might think your city is cool, but has a giant Minotaur ever roamed through the streets at night carrying a flaming torch? This mythical beast paraded through the French city of Toulouse for the first 4 days of November in 2018, and it was even accompanied by a massive animatronic spider, which is slightly more terrifying. These fearsome creatures, known as Ariani and Asterion, didn't just step out of a portal to another world, but were part of a show called Les Gardiens du Temple, organized by the puppet's creators, La Machine Theater Company. Around 600,000 people watched as the giant machines loomed over buildings accompanied by live classical music. Now that's a fever dream I'd like to be in. Plenty of people suffer from hay fever. When springtime rolls around, eyes get puffy, noses get runny, and the tissues come out. But nothing could prepare you for something as extreme as this. This clip of a pollen explosion went viral in 2018 after one man in New Jersey got a little too curious about what would happen if he hit the tree with his digger when he noticed how much pollen was on one of the branches. Most plants produce way more pollen than is needed to ensure their chances of reproduction after the spores enter the air, and it can be particularly bad after a long cold winter. No amount of Benadryl is going to keep that at bay. Sometimes the most mundane processes are the most satisfying to watch. Don't believe me? Check out this bowl being carved. This is the incredibly skillful carving of Amy Grigg, who uses a wood-turning technique to create perfectly symmetrical and smooth wooden bowls. A great amount of control is required to carve the wood into a desired shape using precise cutting tools as the bowl spins on a motor-driven lathe. It's almost hypnotizing. Squid have some pretty amazing color-changing abilities to blend into their surroundings and deter predators. But how do they do it? If you suffer from trypophobia, I suggest you look away now. Believe it or not, this is an up-close look at the skin of a dead squid someone found lying out in the sunlight, which gives us a peek into their superpowers. The small circles are pouches known as chromatophores, which are controlled by tiny muscles that can contract and expand to turn red or brown. After the brain dies, most turn white, but many still operate sporadically, creating this incredible mottled effect. Skateboarding isn't a skill everybody can master, but Boston Daredevil Matt Tomasello has taken things to new extremes by flexing his abilities using a skateboard which transforms in midair. Tomasello tweaks his boards with all kinds of crazy adjustments, including trapdoors and reversible decks. Watching him execute impressive stunts puts into perspective the agility and athleticism skateboarding requires, which is reflected in the board's smooth movements. How many guesses would it take you to land on what this bizarre object actually is? A mutant garden pea? Or a giant ball of snot maybe? What you're looking at here is actually the largest known single-celled organism on Earth called Valonia ventricosa. That's right, this entire thing is one single cell. Also known as sailor's eyeballs or bubble algae, these strange green orbs can be found in both tropical and subtropical regions, where they support a vast number of marine life. Besides that, it really just is a big green useless blob. Some people consider finding $1 down the back of the couch a lucky find, but it doesn't get much luckier than the fisherman who hauled in this astonishing lobster near Brunswick, Canada in 2017. Robin Russell could hardly believe his eyes after spotting this unicorn-colored lobster amongst a sea of mottled brown shells. This cotton candy variety is thought to occur once in 100 million lobsters and is a result of a genetic mutation that causes a lack of pigment in the shell. Russell named the lobster Lucky and donated her to the Huntsman Marine Science Center in New Brunswick. Turns out just looking different can spare you from being cooked alive. Do you know of any strange and amazing internet gems that need to be shared with the world? Why not write in and let me know? Just send any footage you find online to clips@beamazed.com if you think it should be featured in future episodes, and you'll earn yourself a shout out. Come on now, don't be shy. Which of these things interests you the most? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.